Angles brought to you by the Beautiful Game Network. I'm Mike. With me is Kev, Josh, and Dr. LauraEllen. The Hounds left all 3 points in Tampa this weekend, and we're going to look at the numbers and break it all down. Let's go!
Whoa.
You have
The dog on
there,
Mike. I can't lean. So LauraEllen's here, which is fantastic. Welcome, LauraEllen.
Hello.
But we don't have the tri-panel split screen, so the camera angle's wider and I can't lean out of the shot, and I'm making way more out of this whole let's go thing than I should. I should just scream right into the microphone and own it. But
make eye contact with the camera. Just don't blink. Say let's go, and then
please don't do that.
LauraEllen, what's going on?
Well, let's see. Well, we're talking about the EPL later. It's springtime. It was really hot this weekend, and then there was a really big thunderstorm yesterday, and it was beautiful today. I think high 60s. So yeah. Oh, we are trucking, moving along on our goal to get 1,000 miles. And so for 2022, and I have 3 sisters. 2 of them have joined us on our quest. My other sister, who has not joined us, is not allowed to join us because she does a lot of running and does a lot of cycling with her fiance. And so I just collectively decided. And my 2 sisters who have joined, they walk everything. And so they have decided, Mike, that because you are only biking, that you need to do 2,000 miles or something.
Oh, cool. Great. Well, I should cross 500 later this week. So that might be fair. I'm also not tracking my steps or anything outside of that. So
oh no, well, we're not either. No, this is only activity. This isn't number of miles you walk in a day. Yes. So anyway, but that's going great. It's, when is it? Oh gosh, it's almost the end of May. That feels like a lot.
What has life been like living in central PA now?
Justin and I, we have discovered that what spicy, and I'm putting spicy in quotes, in central PA is mild. So, it's really hard to get vegan takeout, anything vegan. So I guess it's good in that it saves us money in our, our budget. We can
way to find that silver lining.
I know, right? I can save it to spend it in Brighton at the Brighton store later this year. But it's just, it's hard when you have a long day and all you want to do is get some really nice, spicy Thai takeout. And I think the closest Thai place is probably, I'm not even joking, probably 45 minutes away from our house, which is not worth it. So
wait, did you just subtly drop that you're going to Brighton later this year?
Oh yes, I thought this was common knowledge.
No.
The shock on her face. It was
yes.
Okay,
oh yes. So this summer is Justin and I's 10-year wedding anniversary, and so I said for our 10th wedding anniversary we are going to Brighton.
And we're just taking you to Brighton. You said,
yes.
But honey, what about Tottenham? And you said,
oh no, he is no longer a Tottenham fan. After the whole Super League fiasco, he has cut ties with Tottenham, and so we are now a Brighton household. We are holistically a Brighton household. So so we are waiting to buy tickets. We've been, I am the money manager of the family, so we've been saving up money every month as responsible humans do, and but we are waiting to buy tickets until the schedule comes out for the upcoming season, and we're hoping to get hopefully 2 games at the Amex. Also figuring out if we can see some of the women's games, and there's some other lower division teams that we're going to go see. Yes, and we have been teaching our 2-year-old how to say "up the Albion," which is probably the cutest thing. So yeah, we're really excited. Yes, so yeah, we are spending 10 days in Brighton, and it's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. Now I'm just waiting for Justin to like run into your shot, like face painted and like just
that would not be good, because at the time of recording he should be putting a 2-year-old to bed. So
well, we know that he's watching the feed. So hey, yes. Justin. Josh, you rearranged your office, all new settings there.
Yeah. Pretty much the wall you see behind me used to be what my desk was up against. So I decided I got tired of facing the wall every time I was working and everything like that. So I'm just flipping it around. So now I'm facing the room, so I don't feel like I'm just like in the corner. But yeah, I'm also doing a walking, and not like a mile thing that you guys were talking about, but mine's walking the Mordor from the Shire. It's like a thing
where how far is that?
How long is that?
I don't know what the total is, because it does it in like 5 chunks. The first chunk is, I want to say it was 190 miles, 180 miles, something like that. So that's the first chunk. That just gets you to Bree. So it gets you from the Shire to Bree.
It was 190 miles to Bree?
Yeah, I know. That's like a long freaking... It's mostly through the Shire, so it's fine.
It was like 5 minutes in the movie.
But then after that, it like has another chunk, I think, takes you to like Elrond and like that whole area. And then like, I can't remember all the chunks because it's so far away from where I'm at right now. So I'm just focusing on Bree right now. And you can set your own timeline, like how long you want to do it in, that kind of stuff. And then they give you like a runner's medal after every leg. So like the first one looks like it's like a Hobbit door. On the back of it, it has like the ring that you can take off and like use that ring for the rest of the trip and that kind of stuff. That's fun. It's the most nerdy way I could think of to do exercise, and I'm like, that will work.
But that's so cool. That's like a novel idea. I like it.
Yeah.
Kev, are you counting your steps?
No.
I mean, I know you like get out and run and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't log it. I just, maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe I should create something, but no, I'm boring. I just
create a fellowship for my my walk to Mordor.
There you go.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it
works. I'll give you a link. You can read up on it.
You can join Steve and I on Strava.
Here's the thing. I just try to I don't want to do anything. So I don't minimal work. So run and that's it. I don't want to run and then have homework on my run. I just want to just do it and just enjoy it. I don't know.
Live your life.
We're all different.
I thought you were just coming across as depressed after this weekend, and I was gonna say it's okay, Kev. You still
no
Champions League. It's all right.
No, I'm okay.
We'll get to that later in the show. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. So apologies if the show goes longer, or if we just choose not to talk a lot about this game in Tampa, because it's no fun. But let's turn the page just a hair so that we can get to the good stuff. Obviously, Hounds lost to Tampa 3-1. Alex Dixon scored in the 10th minute. Thought Rovey was going to score in the 4th minute. And then there were 3 unanswered goals from LaCava, Fernandez, and Lucky. So first and foremost, the pizza oven was dead wrong. I mean, we talked about this a little bit on the last show. We're like, Lily's special. And I was like, yeah. So I literally made a pizza and put pierogies on it, which actually wasn't bad. You would think that the sensation of, you guys are all shaking your head. The sensation of mashed potatoes on pizza would be nasty, but it actually wasn't terrible. But way off by 3 goals. So, we're gonna have to try a little bit harder on our prediction this week. So I don't know, guys. LauraEllen, I know you only watched the first half and then you went to bed because of Borden. Was there anything that you saw in the first half that you found to be encouraging? Any takeaways?
I didn't even watch the entire first half. I was like, this is really not how I want to spend my evening. I'd rather go to bed. I mean, in fairness, I got up early because I thought I I had a trail that I was going to do that was going to be a 20-mile bike ride. And then I ended up taking the wrong trail for 10 miles. Anyway, it was like a whole thing. And then my parents are downsizing, so I helped them pack. So physically, I was just exhausted, which was part of the reason I was like, I'm going to go to bed. But also, maybe it's, the contrast, right? You can only, you can't help yourself, it seems, but compare the different teams that you follow. But it's really hard to watch when Brighton has also not spent a ton of money, but their coach has been able to be creative and find ways for them to win. And then, right, it's not fair. It's not fair to compare a Premier League team and a USL championship.
Here we go.
But I'm just
third place team.
Really? But anyway, I don't know. I was just like, this is just blech. I felt so mediocre about the whole thing. I don't know. That may make me a terrible fan, but no. Listen. How I feel.
Grubba made it. Matt Grubba, communications director for the Hounds. He tweeted out that like the 30-minute later start time makes all the difference in the world, and like it really does. Like we got to 7:30, and I was like, oh my god, I feel so much more tired. Like what is going on? So I get it. Josh, how are you guys? You were at Bulldog, yes?
Yeah. Went to a watch party at Bulldog. Had a pretty decent turnout. Actually hung out most of the game with an academy kid. I think his name was, I want to say it was Alex. And then his mother.
You gotta give him a proper shout out, man.
I feel bad because I can't recall the name.
But is he old enough to drink?
No. It's a pub. There's food. It's fine. There's actually a lot of kids there. But yeah, so it hung out with them, and we pretty much just talked the whole time about like the academy and what they're doing, and the way soccer is in America. It was a really fun time and just having a conversation. But the whole time we're watching the game, obviously, and just like, this is not great. Thought for the longest time. I mean, by the longest time, I mean until the 36th minute. I was like, oh, we got that goal super early like last time, and now we just have to ride it out. And feeling the Lily special coming. And then you just kind of felt it after that goal in the 36th minute. You're like, I don't think we're going to be able to even get a point out of this game. Like it did not feel confident after that. And then sure enough, later on, getting the second goal for Tampa in the second half, it's just like, no, okay, I don't see them coming back. Like I just never really had confidence in the team this whole game after the first Tampa goal.
Kev, how did you feel?
A little different. I thought for the first half it was pretty even. I think we controlled chunks of the first half, and then Tampa controlled chunks of the first half, and it felt pretty even. Both obviously score wise and kind of how everything played out. I mean, in particular, I thought we started amazing. I guess before I get into like details about it, I'll caveat by saying I was impressed by Tampa. I thought they'd be worse, and they were better than I thought they'd be. So, whatever, take that for what it's worth. But even still, I thought, Rivera hits the post. There might have been like a hint at what's to come when Rivera hits the post, and then immediately after Tampa tries to counter. And Ordonez pulls down DeSantis and he gets a yellow. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that was his first foul of the game, 4 minutes in. It wasn't like he was the last defender. They were still like 15 yards into the Tampa's half, and Ordonez gets a yellow. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so, like, from then, I was like, I have a bad taste in my mouth. This is like, but, I mean, so anyway, but we play well still after that. Dixon gets his goal, and I think we were creating chances. And then I think just the momentum swings a little bit, and Tampa kind of take over. And I think after that they just felt probably more confident as they grew into the game, and we felt maybe a little less confident as we kind of grew out of the game. But I think I don't know. I think it was one of those where I think it could have been a draw. I think 3-1 kind of flatters them. I mean, we're pressing at the final, in the final 5 minutes or so, and they get a goal in stoppage time. So it could have easily been 2-1. And even at that, we could have put away some chances. They could have, so, they're a better team than I thought, and it just turned out to be one of those games where they took their chances and we didn't.
Yeah. Mark on Facebook somewhat disagrees with you. He said, wow, we were lucky due to some big saves not to be down 3-1 after the first half. I'm not pointing that out to necessarily counteract what you're saying, but I do think that Jamali Waite is someone that we need to talk about, because I think that especially if you listen to Houndsy last week, they were sort of talking about him a little bit and sort of the whole rotation with Silva. We were sort of talking about who do you think it's going to be, and I think we all sort of thought it was going to be Silva. So once again, Waite gets the start. He did keep it at 1-0 for a while. And in all honesty, I don't know if you can, and I'm waiting for Kevin to cringe here, I don't think you can entirely fault him for the goals that went in. I mean, the first one was sort of a mad scramble off the corner. Then he got chipped 1-on-1. And then the last goal, literally the last defender back was Kenny. And it was 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he got beat there too. So he made some saves.
Yeah,
he made
I
some
think that's
big
reasonable,
saves. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he made 2 saves.
I mean, was that the official
They were
stat
good
number?
saves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at shots. Tampa had 5 shots on target and they scored 3. So two of the shots on target didn't go in. And so, and that misses options where maybe he comes out and is aggressive and claims a cross or something, so, and I remember one save in particular when I think it might've been still 1-0 us or 0-0, where, he, like, one of their players is kind of one-on-one. They're inside the 18. Our players are on him, but he makes a kick save and kind of kicks it out. It was a good save. It was a good reactionary save. And I thought he had a pretty good game. He saved 2.
Do you think that he did enough to warrant a start this week in
Stop
Miami?
asking me these questions. I have no interest in the goalkeeper debate.
You typically have the hot takes on the keeper. You hate them always.
Because you just asked me. And
I don't think he did. I don't think he had enough to start the next game. I think we're gonna see Silva back in that personally.
Yeah, LauraEllen, do you have a vote in this race as a former keeper?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are so many. Right, it's complicated, which is not the cop-out answer, but right, it's how
you're on my side. You don't want to answer.
No, I mean, it's what does practice look like? What is the level of trust between each of the goalkeepers with the defenders? What are their strengths? How do their strengths play into the offense of whichever opponent? Right. I mean, there are so many. How is Lily feeling that day? I don't know. I'm not in the locker room or in Lily's office trying to figure out how he makes these kinds of decisions. And so, but I mean, I saw somewhere someone made a comment in one of the chats, right? Like if it's 1-on-1, who else is responsible? And honestly, as a goalkeeper, if it's 1-on-1 or if it's a penalty kick, like they're supposed to score, right? Like it's, the offender always has, the striker always has the advantage in that. And so it's luck, skill, whatever you want to call it, if the ball doesn't go in the back of the net. And so I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I don't have any kind of feeling. Like it's not like other seasons where I'm like, oh, this keeper is my favorite, or this is the one.
Yeah, no, and Steve mentioned at the press conference last week after the game against, who do we play, El Paso, that Lily even said as much. Silva made the save on the PK, and Lily was like, you can kind of chalk that up to luck. Like you guessed the right way. Like there's not that much, that you can read into a PK save. Like good for him, but like, it is what it is. So, I think my biggest takeaways from this game had less to do with what was on the game. I think a number of people pointed out in the chat that the guys just looked tired. Like for whatever reason, the weather really seemed to trash them, which if you looked at the temperature, like it was like 80 degrees. Like now the humidity might've been through the roof, but it was like no different than it was here. So this isn't like 95 degrees and 100% humidity, but they just look tired. And ultimately there were a number of us, we had our chat and we just said the end result just kind of felt disappointing. Like it was just, and I think the narrative that sort of has gotten stuck in my head has really been two things. I think one, this is now the second team in a row that, or I shouldn't say in a row, this is the second team in the East that I think we've all been really excited to try to see the Hounds test themselves against. I think whenever you're establishing the hierarchy, especially going into the season of like who was going to be the top teams in the East, I think you always talk about Louisville, you always talk about Tampa, and you talk about us. And then there's always some other team that's in there to round out the top four. And to see us perform against a team like El Paso, like the top scoring team in the league, and hold them goalless, or some of the other games from earlier this season where we go out and absolutely dominate to the point that we were a few games in and we were like, this team looks unbeatable. We're going to score 4 goals every single game. To like go and have the struggles that we have against a Louisville or a Tampa is just maddening. Like I don't know if it's just that mentally we can't get over that hurdle and take it to them or what it is, but both of those games we just look completely flat. Like if we went out and we put in a really tough game and we fought hard for 90 minutes, we lost, great. But this is just not the case in both of these games. And it's just like, so are we just destined to be like third, fourth all the time or what? So I don't know.
I think we'll see what the home games are like against these teams too. Both of them were away games. If we put in similar performances when we're at Highmark, then maybe something is there. But no, it's unfortunate because like you said, you want to see how you stack up against the what we perceive as the better teams in the Eastern Conference. We haven't done it, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm the outlier here. I don't think we were entirely flat for 90 minutes. I thought we started okay, and created some chances.
I think we were okay for 30, and then it was just like downhill from there. So
I also question, like, there's only certain things you can control as far as like if you're Lily when it comes into like during the game and the substitutions. I was really curious why we waited so long for like bringing Dane Kelly, I felt like if we're losing, bring in strikers, which he did. I mean, when did he bring in like the 3 players? It was he brought in Kelly in the 68th minute. I actually thought that was a little bit late.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting it like I was making halftime changes. Like, okay, let's go. Let's do this.
Listen, I mean, Dane Kelly, he's basically 1 goal back in the Golden Boot race. He's literally only played half the minutes Danny Griffin has. So he's averaging a goal every 82.3 minutes, which is the best in the league. And, I don't know when I totally get. I think Dikwa is a fantastic player. I think the roles are slightly different. I think that Dikwa is brought in to be the hold-up guy to drag Dixon and Cicerone up the field and get them into attack more than Dikwa one-on-one. Kevin, you're shaking your head, so I'd love to hear a rebuttal. But
yeah.
I feel like you got to be giving Kelly more than 20 to 30 minutes a game, and he's just been used as this like impact sub here the past few games, and it's like, come on, man! Like he can put goals in the net. That's why we paid the big bucks for him.
I wonder if Lily. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I think we talked about this earlier. If there are some lingering injuries or tweaks that we don't know about, right? Like I think that's and how old is he? Right? Like
31.
Okay, not quite as old as I thought, but I just wonder. I just wonder if there are some injuries or something that we are just not aware of, and that's why the minutes are reduced. I don't know how much this matters, but why wasn't there a hydration break, right? And who gets to make that, right? I would imagine Tampa, even this early with how hot the temperature was, right? You would guess that the heat index was pretty high. So why not have, anyway, that kind of diverges from where you were going. But those were just things that I keep thinking about.
Kev, did you have any additional thoughts on Kelly?
No, I mean, other than, I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to know, whether or not Lily has the next X games kind of planned out for how he wants to rotate and bring in people. I I think Lily, maybe more than other managers or other teams that I'm exposed to, prefers to play specific players for specific situations. I think sometimes managers will just be like, look, these are the best people in training right now. These are the best people in form, and I'm playing them. I don't know. It just seems like Lily might not do that kind of thing, other than maybe in the home stretch of the season or the playoffs or something. So I don't know if he's still kind of. I mean, we are still relatively early in the season. Who knows what he's doing about like feeling players out and everything. But it is a little odd. I mean, when I was shaking my head, I don't think I slightly push back on the Dequa as a more kind of hold up player. I think he's, what Dixon has said on the podcast, that like, Dequa is like the fastest person that we have. And I think he still wants to be a poacher and lead the line. And not that that's all he can do, but yeah.
No, and I wasn't saying that is all he can do. I think it was just more of, it seems like that has been his role, more back to goal, get the ball, have guys running at you and dish off. And I don't know if that's just I don't know if it's a distribution problem. Like, we're not working the ball up the field as methodically as we'd like to get him into better scoring positions, and we're just playing long balls, or what. But
sometimes he does look a little isolated, and maybe he kind of has to play that game. Whereas, maybe Dane Kelly has more, support around him or something.
Yeah. JF just made the comment in the chat that I think there's a plan to have this team to be in form for the playoffs to make a championship push, and everything is geared in that direction. That might be the case. I think, Lily has openly said that, sorry, there was another comment here and I accidentally clicked it, and then I was like, no, that's good. So Steve mentioned in the press conference last week that it's pretty clear that Bob didn't start players versus El Paso because he wanted them to be fresh for Tampa. And I do think that there is this sense of, this is a grind, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lily has a number of points that he hopes to have by the end of the Detroit game. And like, it's just kind of like, let's get through this because there's a lot of tough teams and we got to work our way through it. And like, dropping 3 points in Tampa might still get us to that average point total that he's looking for, and we're fine. So, any other thoughts on this one? I mean, it's overall just frustrating to me. That's all. Nothing. Cool.
Dos Santos could have done a little better to like Dos Santos on the first goal. He was a little iffy.
He was kind of on the ground, like shimmying his butt to get close to the ball. Like, I don't know. He was kind of pushed down too. There was a lot of stuff that, like you mentioned, the Ordonez yellow card, like straight yellow, and I mean, there were times that Dequa was getting like body slammed to the ground, and the refs like play on, and it's like, come on, man.
And then we had the other Dos Santos, diving Dos Santos, doing his shenanigans, and reminding me of what I liked about him when he played for Pittsburgh, but what I hate about him anytime else. Just like, he went down. Look at that. How big is that guy? How easy does he go down? That's weird, huh?
Yeah. Freaking Duba. All right. LauraEllen. So last week, I took a real amateur approach at stats and threw some stuff up on the screen, and I was like, this doesn't tell us anything. And Kevin tried to salvage it, was like, maybe it does, I don't know. To be very clear, we're not trying to be our buddy John from USL Stats. This is sort of a different approach to like how we look at things. And you, after hearing us struggle, I guess is the polite way to put it, last week, you put together some stats and you sent me your slide deck, and you were like, here, we're going to do this, and we're going to try to make it not boring. And so the goal was really like, if we're going to look at stats this early in the season, is there anything that is just interesting, like that we can pull out from that? And so with that, would you like me to sort of click through your imagery here for those who are watching live? Or how do you want to do this?
Well, let me just start by saying that me opening my big mouth was how I got on to this podcast and got involved with Mongols in the first place.
That's very true.
This feels pretty on brand. So yes. So I prepared some slides and I showed them to Justin. Okay. Well, don't put that up yet. Put that back down. So, and he said they weren't boring. So if they are boring, it's his fault and not my fault. Okay.
Nice.
So
he also has to live with you. So
no, he would tell me if they were boring. So I know that Kevin does a lot of data analytics for his, day job. And so, Kevin, we're going to just kind of take a step back and think much more simply. So I put together some graphics for the people who are watching, and we can post them. I mean, there's nothing fancy here, but I'll talk through them because this is a podcast and we're primarily audio. Okay. So, now you can put up the first one, Mike. Okay. So I just figured we'd start with some ground things so that the stats people don't come at me for anything, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to misrepresent the data, what we have. And so I think it's important. So we have only played 11 games, and the information that I have access to is grouped by game. So anything that happens within a context of a game, whether it happens in the first minute or the 80th minute, it all looks the same. And so what I can't see, or what we can't see, is what's directly related to a particular outcome. So a goal or a specific pass or a red card. I can't see what leads up to those things. And so just kind of keep that in mind. And everything that I pulled is publicly available from the USL website. So if you don't like it, you can go on the USL website and talk to them. Okay. Can you put it down for a second? Because I wanted to have, I wanted to have a quick conversation about Moneyball. So maybe people remember the movie that came out, I don't know how long ago it was, called Moneyball. And so
Brad Pitt, how can we forget?
Oh, was he in it? Okay. I think I saw it once a very long time ago. Okay. Great. But you may remember from the movie Moneyball that they used a lot of analytics and things to figure out who were the best players. Okay. So in baseball, we have discrete occurrences. So we have at-bats, right? And so it makes things much easier, because for every at-bat, you can say, okay, when this person is at-bat and this person is pitching, this is the kind of pitch that they did, right? This resulted in a home run or a I don't know, single, double, triple, there it is, RBI, whatever. It's much more discrete. As I said, that doesn't exist for soccer unless someone wants to sit and try and figure out how passes are discrete occurrences. It's not really possible. And so that makes it really difficult for us to look at any kind of data, but especially the data that I have, and say, okay, this causes this. So, because it's just frequencies, right? Yes, it's just like the number of times that something happened, right? It's not this long pass was connected to this foul, which was then connected to, whatever the thing. So just because that's not how the data are set up. Okay. All right. So let's do graphic number 2. Thank you. Please interrupt me. Okay. So what did you do, Dr. Ashcraft? And I should say, I do have a PhD, which may or may not be helpful in this particular instance. Maybe not. Anyway. So what I did, for those of you who I ran a bunch of Pearson's correlations. And so, like I said, I took all the data that are publicly available by team. So, okay, I could have looked up DQA and said, okay, what are DQA's specific statistics? But I don't have time for that. I barely have time for putting this together. Just kidding. I did it with all my time. Yes. And so then I ran correlations. And so what correlations tell us are what things, for example, shots, go with, and I'm putting go with in quotes, other things like passes, right? Remember, these are at game level frequencies that occur. And so what this can tell us is how strong the relationship is, or how strong the frequencies kind of hang together. And so you'll see some numbers, and I'll say the numbers aloud for folks who are listening. If it's 0.1 to 0.3, we consider that a weak correlation. 0.3 to 0.5 is a moderate correlation, and anything greater than 0.5 is considered a strong correlation. Correlations can run from -1 to 1. And so I only included statistically significant correlations. So all these correlations are greater than 0.5 that made kind of conceptual sense. Of course, things like shots and shot accuracy hang together, but that kind of can make sense. And again, these are at the game level, so that doesn't necessarily mean that the factors that I'm about to talk about directly relate to a specific outcome. Any questions, comments, concerns? No.
So far, so good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's go. So I looked at 3 different outcomes or 3 different variables. And so what things are correlated with winning? Okay. So the first one we have here is goals. Duh. Right. Okay. There's nothing too exciting there. Long passes. Okay, so that seems a little less obvious. Remember, all the things that are listed here are statistically significant. I didn't include anything that wasn't statistically significant. And so this kind of makes it seems less obvious, but I think for folks who have watched the Riverhounds play, it kind of makes sense, right? We tend to pass out of the back. And so things that would be considered long passes from a data collection perspective, and I have no idea how they define long passes, so you can take that up with the USO.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say,
you can pull it down if you want to ask a question. I can't see anyone's faces. Okay,
that's okay. No, no. My question is, so right now it's saying that the long passes correlation is 0.67. So, I mean, does that
don't interpret it any further?
Okay, I was going to say, does that potentially imply that we're getting a significant amount of our goals from crosses?
Nope. So this is looking at winning. So this is saying all the games that we've won this year, there tend to be a higher number of long passes in the games where we win. So this is saying that they hang together is sometimes how we describe it in the research world. So you can see that also being at home hangs with, right? Kind of in quotes there, being at home hangs with winning. It's correlated with winning. I believe we're undefeated at home, so that makes sense. And then there's a whole bunch of factors around shots. So the number of shots, shots on target, shots outside the box, and shooting accuracy. Again, these things, it makes sense, right? If you're winning games, you are probably shooting the ball pretty accurately because that's how you're going to get goals, right? This also says that when we tend with a higher number of shots inside the box, we tend to win, right? But let me say that these factors do not predict winning, nor do they cause winning. That is not what I'm saying here. We are simply saying, what are the kinds of things that hang together? Spoken
like a true statistician.
Well, I just want to be right. I just want to be really clear about what we are saying and what we aren't saying. Okay, right. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so that's winning, and that's kind of interesting. Again, we've only played 11 games, and we haven't even won all of those games. Okay, so let's talk about scoring goals. Now, what I will say is this is just the number of goals per games, right? So for the data folks out there, I had 11 lines of data, and each of those were a game. So if we scored 4 goals in that game, anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so shots on target, again, feels pretty intuitive there. Shooting accuracy, again, feels intuitive, wins. Okay, we're kind of going back and forth here. The thing that I thought was kind of interesting were the aerial duels. And so what this is saying is that the aerial duels and the number of goals that we score, that when one goes down, the other one goes up. So they're negatively correlated with each other, which is what that is telling us. And it's 0.69, which kind of interesting.
But wait. I think what's interesting about that is that's not saying that there are less balls in the air. That's saying that there's a weird correlation between the number of aerial duels that we lose and the number of goals that we score.
Correct.
So in theory, if we had less aerial duels that we won, in theory we could score more goals. If I'm putting on my dunce cap and trying to figure out
if you
what this
wanted
is
to really stretch the interpretation of what the data are saying, one could say that. I am not saying that because that is beyond the scope of the data that I have access to. But yes, I see where you're going with that. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I feel like there's a story around that we could tell. Like, you know, if you're losing headers, but the ball's dropping to your feet more because you didn't go up for I don't know. Yeah.
And again, I don't know I don't know how they define aerial duels won. Anyway, because it feels subjective.
Right.
To me. Well, all of this is kind of subjective. Anyway, except maybe goals. But even then, were they onside or were they offside? I do not know. Okay. Again, I am not saying that these things predict goals or they cause goals. They just, again, they hang together. Okay, and then one more before I bore you all to tears. So what are some things that are correlated with crossing accuracy? Corners have a statistically significant or statistically significantly correlated with crossing accuracy, but you can see that it's 0.54. Oh, I realize I haven't been reading them. Well, for people listening, you can go on Twitter or you can rewatch the YouTube video. So it's 0.54. So it's actually right on the cusp of what we would consider a strong relationship. So that's kind of interesting. Home, which I don't exactly know what this means or if it means anything or if it's just kind of the style of play or that we tend to be more successful when we play at home. And so our crossing accuracy is higher. I'm not exactly sure. And again, as you can see, shots, it kind of makes sense that factors these different points really are shots on target, shots inside the box, shots outside the box. It kind of makes sense that again kind of hangs with crossing accuracy just because of the style of our play. So that's all I had to share. So it may seem interesting, it may seem incredibly boring. You could skip ahead. I guess it's too late at this point, but I think it's interesting to think about how the data that are available to us can help us think about the Riverhounds, can help us to think about how we're playing. Obviously, I know I put a lot of caveats in there, but I also think it's really important that a lot of the important work that Jess and I were talking about this, a lot of the important work that John at USL Tactics does is he takes a little bit more, not always, but he takes a little bit more of a qualitative approach. And so what he'll do is he'll pull out and say, okay, these were kind of the factors that led up. These were the key plays or key passes that led up to a goal, and does that a little bit more in a qualitative way. And so how we like to think about research kind of broadly is by both using the numbers, and correlations are like very low level statistics, but how we can use the numbers and the qualitative story, the things that we're observing, the dynamics or camaraderie amongst the team, like how well are they encouraging one another after mistakes are made, those kinds of things that you can't capture well in numbers. Steve is trying to get me to talk about my discussion section. Steve, you don't even want to read my discussion section. It's another podcast. So anyways, that's what I have. I'm happy to take any comments.
Well done.
Remarks.
Very good, very good, very good. Here's my question for you. So I think that I probably understood maybe half of that. So if you were to, and that's no fault of yours. I took a stats class. My degree is in electrical engineering, so I don't consider myself to be like stupid. But I took a stats class, and I was like, whew, like over. Just I can't. I don't get it. I don't get it. If you, after all of the work that you did, was there anything that jumped out at you and you were like, oh, like that could be something? Or was the end result of it like, yeah, it's all kind of interesting, but it's still kind of too early to like notice any sort of real trends?
Yeah, so I for the stats people, I mean, I started throwing stuff in just regression models because I was like, what is going to, but then I'm like, wait, you have 11 observations. That is not a wise thing to do. Like you couldn't even do that, right? You would submit that to like a peer review paper and they would laugh at you. Right, I have a tendency to want to read more into the data and say, oh, this is causing this or this. But I think I came away a little sad because I was like, oh, I wish I was following a baseball team because there's so much data there, and you could make these inferences, right? I think it'll be interesting to see how things change over time over the course of the season. And if our home record tends to just really be strong, like what is it about playing at Highmark other than the Steel Army, right? The Steel Army is not a variable that I have, that I can quantify in any meaningful way. Although maybe Josh that can. Is right. Right. Josh can quantify it. Liz will quantify it. So anyway, I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes over time, especially as we have more away games, because that's what I was, trying to look at as well. And hopefully we can have some different outcomes in away games, because having 3 losses away really kind of screws up, any kind of relationship that you want to have more globally. So that did not answer. That was a walk around your question.
That's cool.
Not answering it.
That's all right. Kev, did you have any thoughts, Josh?
I mean, I was going to say you've instantly done more work than I've done all season for the podcast, so that's great.
Only a season. That's pretty generous.
I was going to say, yeah.
No, I mean, just commenting on like, yeah, I agree with you said, like, you wish you wish you watched baseball or something because it's easier to do. Yeah, I mean, it's like the continuous nature of soccer makes any kind of analysis of it really, really difficult. And I think that's why kind of modern analytics teams, big clubs have modern analytics teams that do incredible stuff with resources. I mean, from my limited understanding of it, they try as best as they can to break it down into discrete moments in the game with things like XG or like packing metrics for like passing statistics of like, how many players of the opposition are you taking out of the game with a pass or something. And so like take, just tons and tons of information and try to say, okay, in other discrete moments in the game where the players are set up and organized in this general structure, what happens when the player is on the ball? And then you can say like, oh, like, Kenny Forbes is so much better at this than, Revere or something. That's just really hard to do. and you have to do it for And so, but yeah, it's, I think there's still really interesting things like LauraEllen just illuminated us to be found. So yeah, it's cool. It's difficult, but it's really cool.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't have the full Liverpool analytics team. Was it Liverpool?
Oh no,
that
yeah,
were
no,
leaders, or was that Arsenal? I can't remember.
Well, I know. So Google's AI lab, based out of London, the founder and like president of it is a lifelong Liverpool fan, and so he one day they got a call from like Liverpool. And he's like, absolutely. He's like, I'll do whatever you want. Like, he's like, you have the resources of Google's, most advanced AI lab in London. Yep, we'll work with you.
Woof.
So,
Yeah.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah. Josh is like, there's another team in Liverpool,
Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine. Yeah, help them. They obviously need the help.
Yeah, seriously.
So funny. Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Well, we keep alluding to like we're gonna get to Premier League stuff. Let's just get through a few more things in USL and then we'll wrap up here with the Premier League stuff. Real quick, since we started looking at the table, let's look at the table again just to sort of see where things are at. I think the big surprise, Memphis is now top of the table. Granted, they've played 11 games, but Louisville has now dropped 2 in a row. Hounds now sit in 4th behind Detroit. So that game in 2 weeks is even bigger. LauraEllen, I know both of our crews will be there, valiantly trying to cheer them on as well. So hopefully everyone else shows up for the Detroit match. That's going to be a big one. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, a lot of the comments that people are making in the chat about like, would we rather be I think Liz said, would we rather be where we are right now or lower down the table because it's early in the season? And, a lot of the comments about it's not making a push right now. It's making a push in August and September. That's when you want to get hot. So like, don't really worry about it. I don't know. Josh, what's your take on the table at this moment?
I mean, this is where you usually start seeing stuff with the USL where it's like, hey, not everyone has played the same amount of games with so few games being played already. It's hard to really wrap your head around because it's like, oh, this team has played 12 games. This one has played 10 games. And it's just, yeah, when there's so few games, even though we usually wait until 10 games, when all the other teams are at different number of games, it doesn't really help that much. But I do think, what you can see is it's tight still. 25 points at the top versus we're in 4th place with 22 points. Yeah. So we can still get all the way to the top of the table by just getting a win. So yeah. It's not that, no one's running away with anything right now. And just keep that in mind.
Agreed. Well, next we head back to Florida to take on Miami on Saturday, 7 p.m., not 7:30, 7 p.m. As we just saw, Miami are just a few spots back on us on the table. So again, I mean, it's sort of a toss-up here. I don't think there's a ton that we can glean. I try to look through their most recent results, and because you're not comparing apples to apples, it's very difficult to get a sense. Two players to sort of keep an eye out for. Their keeper, Connor Jack Sparrow, his middle name was given by me, not him, is tied for 2nd with the most clean sheets. He has 5 out of 12 games. He's also tied for 6th on saves, so he's facing shots and he's saving them. And he's only allowed 6 goals in so far this season, so he's averaging like half a goal per game. We are currently allowing 1 goal per game. So, just to sort of put that in context, maybe it's going to be a bit of a defensive battle. Even more so when you hear that their leading goal scorer only has 3 goals on the season. And that goal scorer is, drumroll please, Romeo Parks. So we get to see Romeo.
Oh, that's amazing.
I knew you didn't read the notes and you didn't know. It's
no.
Yeah. I had to, put that out there.
But, it's interesting to look at their record though at home because they're actually worse at home right now than they are away. So
I feel like that was the story last season for them too. I don't get Miami. It's weird.
Yeah, they're 2-2-2 at home. So it's who knows. So
well,
it's interesting.
Let's not also forget that Miami was where this
Martinez is taken down and it's going to be a foul called on Mikel Williams. Trinidad and Tobago man called for his foul. Oh no, it's a goal! When playing it out of the back goes wrong, Miami have conceded a howler. What happened there? He's saying no.
And it was the infamous corner kick.
So. I could not remember. I'm like watching. I'm like, what happened? I can't remember. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Listen, there are only so many videos that we like have here on our little like control panel, and for whatever reason, I never deleted those ones. Yeah, I was like, oh wait, that was Miami. Yeah, let's pull that up. Why not? So yeah, the Hounds. Steve said, "Let's go crush them." Yeah. You know, I don't know. There's not much else that we can say about Miami. Guys, thoughts, predictions on this one? LauraEllen, do you have any sort of hot takes or anything you're looking for in this one?
Zero hot takes. I think that given our away form, I will be thrilled with a 1-0 win.
Lily special. Josh, what do you think?
I mean, I'm reluctant to say anything about winning anymore away, just because of the way we've been, performing. But I feel like if you're going to win away against a team like Miami, is probably who you're going to win against. Them not having the greatest home advantage out there, and we've seen what they can do. It's not much, so I think we could win this one.
Kev?
I feel good. We've bounced back well when we've lost this season. I think if you remove, looking at our fixtures so far this season, if you remove the Cincy Open Cup game, every game that we've lost so far, the next game we won. Let's do that. I don't know. I don't think any of them were then away games, so that might be kind of two things colliding there. But no, I think we're still a really good side. We're still the side that we were all raving about at the beginning of the season. I don't think that's gone away. It feels like it's gone away a little bit, but what form is temporary, class is permanent. These are a good group of players, and Lily's a very good manager, and I think this will get sorted out.
Steve says, "Kick them while they're down." So for those of you in the know,
you'll
get a joke.
Stop. My goals in no way promotes any kind of violence.
This is
any
true.
Other human
this
being.
is true.
My goodness.
and there's one issue with that is the fact that they just won their last game 4-0 against Charleston. Granted, it's Charleston, and this year's Charleston Battery are not good. So it is getting 4 goals in one game is good no matter what. So I would not say they're riding a high going into this game. So keep that in mind, because they did that away as well. They weren't even at home.
Yeah. So I at this point, I think after everything we talked about and what we've seen, I think I'd be happy. I'll be happy with a point. I think we can get 3. I will be happy with a point and come home and get ready for Detroit and make that the big game and, come back home and really blow things out. So that is what we think. Let us know what you think. Now, I think the moment we've all been waiting for, Premier League thoughts. LauraEllen, you seem most excited by this. Lead us off. What did you think of the season? Yeah,
25 years ago.
25. Here's the context for people who don't understand. 25 years ago, Brighton almost fell out of the bottom of the FA League in England, and now they have finished 9th in the Premier League. Think about that. They are owned by one of their fans. They have an amazing stadium that I cannot wait to go and see. They are progressive. They have lots of vegan food. They have aside from that, they have just really high quality character of players. They, I think, are one of the they have one of the lowest expenditure levels. Anyway, go Brighton. Up the Albion.
But I guess needless to say, you were happy with how the season finished?
Oh, what a glorious game that it was. We had a little watch party, the Stateside Seagulls, which is our U.S. supporters group. I don't know how their Thai dishes are, Liz. But yes, yes, it was. We had a slump there in the middle of the season, but really pulled it together. I'm just so excited. I can't wait to go. I hope we don't lose most of our players. Yeah, I'm just like so excited, and it's just I really love playing or supporting a team who, as a club, like supports good progressive things in the world and like cares about their community and people who are differently abled and empowers them to enjoy the game of soccer that we all love. And so I think, anyway, I just couldn't be happier. And if anyone needs an EPL team, Brighton really is the one that you should be cheering for.
Sounds good. Josh, you had a bit of a thriller towards the end of the season.
Not swayed. Michael's not coming over to Brighton, apparently. That's the takeaway.
Aston Villa can suck it.
Listen, we're leaving your holding midfielder alone. We just got our own today. Don't worry. It's fine.
Basuma has already been replaced. We're fine. He can go.
Okay. Josh, you guys stayed up?
Yeah. I think the last time Everton went down was in like the 40s, I want to say. 1940s. I think that's right. And I think they were down for like 5 years. It was like 5 seasons when they went down last time. So it was scary, just the whole thing. If you saw the match that they won against Crystal Palace in the midweek game, it was just crazy. It was at home. You could tell the fans were all like, just, you have to win this game. And they were down 2-0. And it was just mayhem. It was awesome. I thought for sure the game was going to have an issue because after they scored the third goal, it's only the 80th minute. There's still a lot of game left. And like 30 people rushed the field. But then like within literally like 30 seconds, they were all gone. I was like, oh, okay, good. Because I'm like, no, don't do this. We need to play this rest of this game. So yeah, it was interesting. But then once they won the whole game, it was just mayhem. Last game of the season against Arsenal, not so much. That was pretty much like they had a good away section and they were just pretty much singing Spirit of the Blues the whole time, and they didn't care that they were down by 4. Like just like whatever, down by 3. Yeah, like whatever, who cares? We're staying up. We don't really care about this game. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure off, and I'm just curious to see what the offseason holds and what they can do to build this team back up, because usually that 9th spot on the table, that's where Everton lives. All right. So don't get comfortable there.
Oh, we're not. We're going to the Euros next season. So don't even worry about it. Yeah. I also, Josh, you and Liz will be able to have your rivalries again next season. Fulham was promoted. So that's very exciting. And Justin just reminded me, Brighton did finish higher than Palace, which is really great. Crystal Palace is our arch rivals, and they're terrible. Anyway, nice. Kevin, does anyone care?
Liverpool did get first. What? Those apples.
I was just saying, our teams are a little more intertwined than you probably would have hoped on the last game of the season. So,
I mean, yeah, no, it's. I think like Klopp was saying, like in the second half of the season, like Liverpool won 16 and drew 3 and still didn't win. It's like whatever, man. Like they did great. Like I can't. How could you possibly be like disappointed or upset when a team does that well? And so it's been a really weird feeling over the past 3 or 4 odd years, because it's like, yeah, you miss out, but it's like, I can't. How can I be upset? Like So yeah, that was kind of my feeling on the last day. Mike, I texted you. I was like, I didn't start the day with much hope, and I think the only way it could have maybe turned out a bit worse is if City lost and then Liverpool lost. That would.
I was waiting for that to happen. I was like, the 70th minute when Coutinho scores and Aston Villa are up 2-0. I was like, oh come on, Liverpool! Like don't do this to yourself.
That would have been tough. But no, I mean, to then, it's nice to. I mean, 3 goals in 6 minutes. That team deserves to get stuff as well. I mean, the City team's amazing. Pep's
Hold
amazing.
on, but okay.
Mike, I'm getting a lot better at detaching myself from the pure Liverpool essence of success or failure.
I just hate City. Like I've hated City for a few years now, and like literally, I keep going back to the fact that this offseason, I'm glad that Jack Grealish left Villa. I think there are a number of things that have fallen into place that now Villa will actually be a better team without him. But Pep's argument was, we need him. Like, we need him if we have any hope of winning. And in the game they needed to win for the championship, he didn't even get subbed in. He didn't start. They paid $100 million for him, and he rode the bench. And it's like, you rich, pompous, and I'm just going to stop right there because LauraEllen...
Mike, obviously, you're emotionally attached to this, but I think I checked. Like, Grealish got what? I think I checked the numbers when you sent me that text. Like, Grealish got 26 appearances in the Premier League this season. I mean, he played. And if you want to get 93 points and win the league in this era, you need
listen.
A super deep squad that plays. And
but you paid $100 million for a player who won't even get on the field. We sub out Coutinho for marvelous Nakamba. Like, there's your difference right there.
What a name!
I'm just saying. Like, you wonder why they lost. It's because in the 70th minute, we're pulling out our guys because they're gassed, and you're putting in Sterling. Like, yeah, okay, great. Way to buy your way to a championship, you turd blossom. So yeah, I'm just I'm over
These insults don't even make sense.
Yeah. I'm censoring myself, LauraEllen. Jeez.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, that's what this league is. I mean, this league is pay to play, really. I mean, it's you buy the best players, you get the most points. I don't really know what to expect from this league. Yeah. It takes the fun out of it if you try to think of it as like an actual fair competition, because it's
I was thinking about it a little bit, and I think the script writers were all ready for Aston Villa to beat City and Stevie to get Liverpool to win. But the more I thought about it, I was like, this could be the best argument for Stevie to go and ask for more money to buy players, because he could be like, look, we were holding the champions to 2-0 down in a game they had to win, and I had to take off Coutinho to put in marvelous Nakamba. Like, give me players and my strategy will win. And yeah. So,
but Mike, look, I'm just like, at the end of this, I don't really care. But weren't you just making the argument that you're kind of sick of everything just being about money, and you're just saying Villa need more money to then go compete?
Yeah,
has a point.
Listen, I'm not talking about that Saudi oil money though. That's
different
that's
money. It's fine.
See,
totally
but this is I think
it's all the same.
It's
money.
not for this.
Right.
It's not for this podcast. But I think we have just arrived, and I don't want to go there now. But we've just arrived at the very interesting part of this entire conversation. Is there is a line somewhere of good money or bad money, like that's good or that's bad, or that's too rich or that's not rich enough. And I think we all silently live in this gray bubble area where we're all drawing our own lines of what's right or what's wrong, what's acceptable, what's not. And it's just usually that never gets discussed and formalized, and that's fine. We don't need to, but it's just, I think that's there. And, we're all just kind of making our own judgment calls.
And now Kevin will begin his PhD program in philosophy to help us think about what is right and wrong, and what is good money and what is bad money.
No one would listen to me.
All right, let's do this real quick. The season just ended. Where will each of your teams finish next season? LauraEllen, what spot?
Realistically, I think probably 8th or 9th or 10th, right in that range again next season. I think it's going to be another year until we bump up a little higher.
Josh?
I mean, honestly, probably closer to the middle of the table. I don't think we're going to be in this position again. I think they've learned their lesson. The front office is like, okay, fine, we'll do what we need to do to actually get the players and all that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's more closer to like 12th.
I'm hoping for Aston Villa to finish in that 8th, 9th spot as well, LauraEllen. I think that what we're seeing is the weird draw power of Stevie G, and like he'll just go and talk to people and they're like, yeah, I want to come play for you, which like I just haven't seen outside of like Pep or Klopp. Like he has like no back. He did well at Rangers. Like, cool, good for you. But like people are ready to just
he did really well at Rangers.
I get that, but I'm just like, I think, it's people look at him more as a player and as like an icon, and it's like, yeah, I want to go play with you. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see, Suarez, Kev, your boy might be back just wearing claret and blue.
Really?
So yes. His apparently his deal is up with Atletico, and he's already said like, yeah, I'll come play for Stevie. Let's do it.
Amazing. I would love that.
Kev, are Liverpool winning it all next year?
I wouldn't have any justification to say that they'll get more than second. I mean,
let me ask you this.
There's a chance.
What's more likely? Are they more likely to win it, or are they more likely to be outside the top 4? Ooh.
I mean, I would say more likely to win it because I barring an injury crisis that happened 2 years ago, I don't see us getting outside of top 4. So in that sense, and I think Carragher made a good point. The reason why I was going to say, Liverpool have the chance of losing Salah or Mane this year, and City just signed Erling Haaland, in my opinion, one of the best strikers in the world. So like, it's ridiculous for me to suggest
bathing
that they're
in that
get
oil money. Just
yeah, I mean, so like, it's ridiculous for me to say they're going to get first, but Carragher makes a good point of saying he actually thinks like getting Haaland on City isn't going to make them more likely get 115 points. I mean, there's this kind of natural ceiling of like soccer randomness that happens, that even if you're an amazing team in the Premier League, something happens and, a Southampton beats you. So like, it's not that Erling Haaland now gives them plus 5 points at the end of every season that they would have got. It's more likely that Erling Haaland is then just the decisive thing in big games that then maybe help them go on to win the Champions League or something. So I still think it's not like a complete, just seal the envelope now and give City the title next year. But no, it'd be stupid for me to say, no, Liverpool can still beat City. Like they can, but like, they got Haaland and they just won the league this year. So why would I say, Liverpool are going to win? So.
Did you see the interview where somebody asked Haaland, like, what are your thoughts? And he's like, oh, I can't wait to go to City and win the Champions League like City. And the interviewer was like, when did City win the Champions League? And he was like, no, I mean like them. I want to try to win the Champions League.
That's funny. No, yeah. I'm excited to see Haaland play more. I mean, Haaland's one of my favorite players to watch. He's just this, amazing player. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
I heard that he bought like everybody on the team and front staff like Rolexes when he left, as like a going away present. So once again,
but at the same time, I feel like that's what like a 22-year-old thinks, right? Like when you're 22, you're like, I'll buy Rolexes for everyone. They're like, okay, thanks. Like, I already have 3, but cool. Like, I appreciate it or something. Yeah. I just think it's funny.
Well, guys, I think that sort of wraps this one up. Is there anything else that anybody else wanted to add in this one? Cool. LauraEllen, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you for dropping by and enlightening us with stats. Yeah.
Anytime.
Looking forward to seeing you guys in person in a few weeks.
Oh, yes. Everyone come out June 4th. Whatever that weekend is. June 4th. Come on out. It'll be fun to catch up with everyone and see people. Kev, are you coming up, please? And thank you.
No.
No.
He's got a new team.
Really
He's supporting Knoxville now. So, we're second fiddle.
We're actually going to go. We're going to go to the game this weekend. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah. Oh, good. All right.
Are you comparing
I'm
a
fine.
15-minute drive to a 9-hour one-way drive?
I'm not upset. You're upset.
You have an electric car. It probably would cost you like $20 to get here.
And it'll drive itself. You
It's
just
the
have to
time.
sit there.
You
can work.
All you do is go to the park and eat picnics.
Let's wrap this up.
This is your weekly reminder that Black Lives Matter. We are proudly part of the Beautiful Game Network, which is home to more than 100 volunteer writers and podcasters covering local soccer. Help us all keep doing what we're doing. Head to bgn.fm, click the donate button to help us cover our expenses. Thank you for your support. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.
Later.